And I want to welcome everyone for joining. I know everyone's very busy, but we have a lot going on. And just wanted to kind of go through a few things with you. The first section is a little repetitive. So just so you know, for Minnesota, the client roster form is in progress. It will automatically pull over all your updates, and it's now mandatory attached to the evaluation. I do want to make note when you're going into, and you did have a survey, and we'll go ahead and go into the senior living section here. Once you fill out all those forms, under the report, you're going to see the Minnesota client roster report, and it'll show you everyone who's had the roster filled out, but you go ahead and just export it here, and this is what you'll hand the health department. You no longer have to track manually by hand. This form is all made for you. It is the actual Department of Health form, and it has all the language down here. So you don't have to do this form manually anymore. Senior living, it's in there, but also note that the discharge summary form that you track your discharges is not yet in senior living. We are going to be working on that. Any questions on the Minnesota client roster form? Okay, moving on. There are two things I want to go over in the elite side of Matrix, which is the main frame of Matrix. Under your facility tab, just a reminder, your view facility. When you go into view facility, don't forget that we should be updating the names in Matrix for your contacts. So for this facility, you'll see Cheryl here, which let's update her because her name changed. And so we should be making sure that our facility ALDON and our housing manager are listed on our view facility page right here. And sometimes I know like Barb likes her name in Duluth, and maybe your RNS wants her name in here. But we should have at least the housing and the ALDON. So you guys can update those.
Can you update the email there too? Was there an option to update that?
Yep, when you're updating it, I'll have the email option in there. Okay. And a fax number if you want to put that in, and a phone number, but don't put your personal cell in, just put your work number in. Good question. And then under the facility, just don't forget, we now have that preventative health care batch charting that is new. And it's for two areas. It's for the COVID-19 vaccine and the influenza vaccine. Those are the only two. When you start creating the influenza, you can say that you had your consent obtained was yes. Most of our ALs should be having an outside provider do all our flu vaccines, because then Medicare is billed. We as providers don't want to pay for the flu vaccine for our AL communities and our IL. So if we didn't set one up this year, let's make sure we do that next year to save us some money. But outside of care setting or in-house, you can put the date. You can put the time. You could have the manufacturer and lot numbers all filled out. If you don't know, you can skip that. Education was provided in the date. Well, if the education is by the pharmacy, then just put pharmacy. And as soon as you hit next, it's going to let you select the units, and then it'll show you all the residents. So it will automatically put them all over, or you could just take off the few that didn't go and have it done. And then when you hit save, which I'm going to cancel, then all your flu shots will be recorded. over under your health preventative tab on each resident. So it's really a big time saver this year. So again, that's under the facility tab, preventative healthcare batch charting. So that's just huge for us because it's when you have 100 people to chart each flu vaccine or COVID vaccine, that's a lot of time. Any questions on that? Okay. I want to talk about a report today that is back working in senior living, and it's under your report tab. Now, a lot of these reports are for people who use the whole product of senior living, but there's a few that do work for us. And one of them is this resident care basic matrix level. This is a great report to run, and I think I'm just gonna pick on Shakopee today. If you run the report for whatever month you wanna report it for, you can go ahead and run a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet. But what's nice about this is it wasn't previously working, it now is. But you can go across your lines and you can see exactly what their points are for the month, and I can see if there was a change. So I can see here on this resident, he went from 5 points to 109 points in September on the 3rd. I can see somebody went on a leave of absence here, and I can kind of track these. And I can then go verify if their care level was actually changed in matrix or the billing side. So it's much quicker than manually tracking anything. I will know exactly what level everybody is on doing it this way, but then it breaks it down and I can see all my care points for every level. So I know how many points I have in my AL, how many points or minutes I have in my IL, and then how many in my memory care, and then my total. So this, instead of doing it the old way where we used to have to export it from the front page, this report is now doing it for us. We don't really use the care level averages right now. So these two reports at the bottom probably don't make sense for us. But it does give us quite a bit of good information. Again, under reports, you have your evaluation due report. I always tend to go back a few months in case there were any not completed. So I might go back to August 1st. And then again, I'll run my report. And I want to make sure like I'm not missing any. And you can see here that I have some lates back from August. So all these August, September, and October, all my evaluations that are due. One thing to remember, just because it's due here in the evaluation page, let me get one due. If I have a one due on 11/5 and say I was a few days late, if I open it, that doesn't discard the dating of my evaluation being done within the 90 days. It goes by the date it was closed to the date it was closed. So you can't bypass the system or the 90 days compliancy, being compliant by opening up and leaving it in progress. Because if the health department pulls it, they're gonna see the date it was finalized to the date it was finalized. And we should never backdate because we wanna do it legally. But that evaluation due report is nice to run. And then the only other one that works then is the scheduling assistant. So a lot of these other ones are for people who use the whole system. Again, there's a few that do work for what we use it, how we use it with a half a system. But this is our scheduling assistant, and this is really nice. And I want to encourage us to start using this more. And what this does is it takes your community and it takes away having to have those bath lists or laundry lists that are never right, and really focusing on using our Care Assist product more. You'll see I can pick my shift. I can pick how many, just the bathing, and I can pick all my residents. And now I have my bath list. I can see exactly how many baths I have scheduled for the day shift. If I click on the number, it tells me who the bath is. I know what the time frame is. I know that if I have to add a bath, that probably Thursday is a good day because I don't have any other scheduled baths during the day, or Friday. And so this is where we need to concentrate. If I go ahead and put in my general is more your laundry and housekeeping. And then again, I can see that I have some bed making, and I can see exactly what is under these numbers. So on this particular area, let's do second shift maybe, because that would be more my laundries would probably be in the evening and night shift. So here's my changing of the bed linens, my laundries. So I can see what I have scheduled. At this time, it doesn't go to a printable report, but we did ask for that upgrade. And of course, if you go in the client community, you can vote on all my upgrades that I put in, because the more votes we get, the faster we get things put through. So that's really it for the reports in senior living that function for Benedictine. And is there any questions on these reports? I really don't see any chats. Okay. Month end billing. Again, running that resident care basic matrix level report will help you for your month end billing. And really, I would suggest to do it more than at the end of the month. I personally would probably do it near the beginning of the month, and I would just check my residents, and I would make sure that they have the correct care level. When I run that report from senior living, I can go right into charge entry and see if there's a care level here. And then I just compare it to my one report and I make sure those match. If they don't match, we have to find out if they had a service plan. Was it signed? Was it agreed to? And make sure we get that over to billing if it didn't quite get there. So you should be doing that pretty frequently, checking. I feel like if you run this basic care report, you can toggle in on those people who did change on that month. And I could easily see Fred had a change in the month of September. I need to go make sure Elite was followed up and that change was put over into Elite. So running that report more often and catching those before the end of the month really helps us with billing correctly, less family being upset that they were billed wrong. And then of course you want to run your extra service reports to see what the services were. Does everyone know how to run extra services? Is that something you'd like me to review? You can put it in the chat if you don't want to talk.
Yes, please.
Okay. So at the end of the month, we have a couple reports to run. We're going to go ahead and go to facility and then to reports. There's two reports under point of care that work for senior living, and they're labeled senior living, so they're easy to identify. So again, point of care and then compliance senior living. You're going to run the compliance report alongside, and we're just going to do a couple of days here. We're going to run it alongside the extra services because sometimes the aides do mistakenly chart somewhere. So once I run my point of care compliance, and I'm going to go ahead and print this off, and I'm going to notice all my mischarting. And then I'm going to go to the other report, and I'm going to go to the extra service report, senior living. I'm going to run the exact same days. And I'm going to note if there's any extra services for this resident. I think it jumped behind me, so hang on 1 minute. Let's see if it, sometimes the report, there it is. So if it's truly extra, we all know that we document extra in the comments and then the minutes. And so here it looks more like they were having difficulty knowing where to chart. We've had a lot of agency in, and so we're seeing that they're charting under tasks instead of the to-do list. So I would take this report against my mischarting and then just cross off if I'm seeing that these are truly just off the mischarting area. I would look at the people who had the word extra or comments and then minutes, and then I decide if they have any extra room in their level. So if they're, higher than a 4, there's always those extra minutes in every level that they could potentially have. And then me as the nurse decides who I'm going to bill this to. And I either write okay, RA fee, or I cross it off, do not bill. And that can go, this whole report can go right to the billing person who's ever entering all your charge entries in. So it's a quick report. I would recommend doing it at least weekly, just setting up a day, and it should be your housing manager, your nurse, whoever is involved. And just to quickly go through those 2 reports and just make sure that you're maintaining that extra billing. I do want to talk a little bit about how the Care Assist works with extra services. I think we're missing a piece with the aides competency. I'm just going to quickly go over to Care Assist. Because I do think like we do forget the training piece. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. When people first log into Care Assist, it's very important that they're picking their site. They're saying yes to an EMR work list, and then they're picking their assignment. When they first log in, they see their residents they're assigned to. If they go and click on this person right from here, it will bring them to tasks and not to the to-do list. That is the #1 mistake. It gives them this. And so these tiles, and this is why your pool staff chart here, because that's how a nursing home charts. They don't know to come over to the to-do list and chart the things that they're supposed to do. So these items here off the to-do list are where they just have to put complete, done. If I'm under my task and I'm under resident tasks and I'm doing an extra bath, they are supposed to know to hit complete the minutes that they did this and start with those words extra. And the reason when you saw that previous report, that comment for extra, when I run the extra services, is going to help me decide to bill it or not. So it's really important we kind of go back and do a little bit of retraining with the staff. My question is, when we do our competencies for orientation, I don't think we have ever put a Care Assist competency in. I think we assign them the 2 videos through Educare. I think they shadow, but truly, because it is a delegated service, do we competency test them on Care Assist? So I'm kind of throwing that out there for you guys. If that's a piece where we're missing. And I don't hear any comments, but I think I'll have Mary Glad and Evans potentially look at our onboarding and see if it's missing from there. Because I just feel like we're missing it in our agency orientation possibly and through our orientation process for onboarding aides. So that's something that hopefully we can work on. Hodan says, she goes over matrix use and the difference between the to-do list and tasks upon hire and again monthly at staff meetings. Oh, that's a good one too. Someone else brought up doing it on the supervisory visit, that 30-day supervisory visit in Minnesota could be another place where they check off that Care Assist was, they understand Care Assist. So 2 good suggestions.
That's a great idea, Linda, on the supervisory visit, because there's a spot to handwrite any extra tasks that are supervised during that visit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's great. I'll start doing that.
And we could add it in there.
I suppose I could free type on there.
Well, I think it's on our AL toolkit also, and so I could add it in there. I don't know if I can get back in the AL toolkit, but I can have Lisa help me. But that might be a really good idea because it is overwhelming to start a new job. It's overwhelming to learn everything. As we all know, Matrix is a system that takes some time and patience. And so that might be a great place. Any more questions about Care Assist, compliance, month-end billing? Anything I can show you on reports that you're struggling with? I don't see anything else in the chat. Okay, I want to talk about our EMAR and how we're using it and our flow sheets. And me and Shelly M are really working on trying to clean up Matrix as a whole so that things are not so visible. And so we're trying to reduce things like having the RAI on here because it's not an assisted living thing. So you're going to see some changes coming up and some security template changes because some people just have too much access. And so we're going to be working on that. Just put in a clinical ticket if you're not seeing something you need as we clean these up because everybody has to have a little bit different. But the one thing I do want to note when you're setting up users, whether it's corporate or it is facility users, make sure we're using the templates for assisted living. They come up at the beginning and these are what are used and this is what you need to use as users in AL. We don't want to see people having manager with clinical read or MDS nurses. You need to use these because these are what we're keeping you updated with reports that you need to see, anything that is needed for these templates. So you really need to kind of stick to these. Your EMAR work list setup. Here's where you manage your work list. And when I talk about work lists, I am talking about under my assignment, when I choose to use an EMAR work list, which all staff should do, this is where we manage those assignments under facility EMAR work lists. The one that says Care Assist is the one you don't touch, but all the other ones are dependent on what you want your work list to say and be and what residents you want involved in that. With those work lists, there's these assignments of these flow sheets. And you'll see here, this person has all these flow sheets. This is an aid group, and do they really need all these flow sheets? No. We need to clean up our orders and put all the meds to a med flow sheet, all the PRNs to a PRN flow sheet. Treatments would be vitals, blood sugars, trying to reduce some of that. Yep, Penny, I'll get to that. But like things like your diet, your PT, OT orders, that's all gonna show up on their EMR if you're putting all these flow sheets on people. So limiting what you can see on your EMR, and this is not your to-do list, this is only your EMR and Care Assist. So when you're here and you go start this EMR, these will be seen. This is what we should really see for the RAs. They shouldn't see much more than this, maybe besides COVID. When they don't use a work list and they sign on, what happens is they see every flow sheet. So then they see every order. If I just pick that, and it's overpowering, and most of the orders I don't need. So now you see, I have all these flowing over, and an aide wouldn't need to see nurse only. She wouldn't need to see lab. So they're gonna see things they don't need to see. And that's why it's important that they choose the EMR work list. I would love for all of us to start really narrowing down the flow sheets that we do use. Getting things off in the orders and just really managing this better so that we're all the same throughout each facility. So the aides just automatically see certain things, the CMTs see certain things, and then the nurses see certain things. I think once we start doing that, it's going to be a better flow. It's going to make more sense to new users. And then we can get rid of some of these flow sheets so it's not so much to pick from. The other thing that's nice, when a nurse signs on, they should only see their nurse assignments and their labs, where a housekeeper, and we're putting housekeeping on the orders now. So when you put in a housekeeping order, the housekeeper will only see housekeeping. So when I'm a housekeeper and I'm logging in to see what rooms I have to clean today, I am saying yes, and I'm saying I'm going to the housekeeping east hallway, and under my EMR today, I have 6 rooms due. And so this is what a housekeeper will now see. And obviously, oh, there it is. I'm going to prep that I'm cleaning this apartment, and then they will give, and then they will complete. And that means their housekeeping is done for the day. So housekeepers are going to start using the EMR to do their daily housekeeping items. So as we clean up stuff and making this simpler, the EMR work list needs to get simpler also. I'm still seeing like a lot of bathing twice a week in the orders. I'm seeing TED socks in the orders, which TED socks may be a doctor's order, but then put it to a flow sheet so it doesn't come on their EMR, so they're not signing the evaluation and the EMR. I'm seeing a lot of just funny orders. So like this particular aide should not be seeing a respiratory radiology, enteral meds, tube feedings. We're going to start reducing that. My aides are requesting bathing in orders, easier to see. And again, we want to stay consistent between all the facilities. And so I'm going to say, I would rather you keep your bathing in the to-do list. It's very easy for them to manage their baths by simply going to the to-do list, hitting the task group. And this is what I encourage. And all your baths for the day are right here. They're very easily seen. There is no reason they need to be in the EMAR. We need to be consistent, we need to be firm, and we need to do things the same at all communities. The EMAR is for meds and treatments. The evaluation is going to stay with bathing in the evaluation. It is point driven, it is about their care, and that is where if they had extra, they need to really put in their extra time, or if they need a comment here. So I would like it to stay there. So yes, laundry too. Laundry should be in the evaluation. Before we had senior living, we had all the cares in the, not every facility, but whoever had, they used to do it under the ADL flow sheets, all the cares and laundry, and then they would just print that flow sheet like a service plan. So we're kind of graduating up. And we really need to embrace the system. And I know it's complicated, but we are working really hard to simplify things. So there was something about laundry is in the orders because PMs pick up, nights wash, and days put away. You are not able to schedule it that way in the eval. And so in the evaluation, while you think it can't, it can. And I'm just going to show you a trick about the evaluation. So when we're in an eval and you want to schedule laundry, let me just open somebody up here. I know I have somebody in progress. Hang on, let me get my closed off. I was helping somebody do something. Remember, your filter is your friend. So I'm just gonna start a new one. I'm gonna pull one over. Down in the laundry section, I can actually pick 3 occurrences for laundry. It will not calculate points anymore if your points aren't included. And then I would do Monday, and I would do 6 p.m. I would do Tuesday, because then the nights wash it. And I always do after midnight, because remember your care assist refreshes at midnight with a new day. So I always do 12:05. And then I would do Tuesday 9 a.m. And so then in my notes, I would write evenings pick up, nights wash, dry, day shift puts away. Now, each time they'll see these 3 notes, but they will know that it's scheduled and they will sign off. Each one would sign off on their duty in that section. So it is possible to put it in the evaluation. There is a question, why does med setup and the outside pharmacy come up on their to-do list when it's assigned to the nurse? Good question. Remember, the to-do list and care assist is a shared list driven from the evaluation. It does not decipher from a work list. So that's not how it's running. So your to-do list will only have the people based on your assignment, but it is shared. And so the nurse would also come up and do the task group. As she's working, she wants to pick the task group, and she'll want to come down and find her med/treatments, because those are those weekly med checks that everybody has to do in every Benedictine community. It's our quality check, that med reconciliation or med check, we call it. And that's that week, the licensed nurse reviews compliance, any PRN usage, any medications that need to be ordered, checking for expired meds, reviewing that NARC count. And it's all that behind the scenes that we're getting paid for people being on med management. That's what the med/treatment's about. It's not about just putting pills in a pill box or putting cards away. There's much more to managing meds. There's teaching, there's making sure that the orders are thorough enough for an unlicensed staff to administer. So it's all that behind the scenes thing that we're being paid for. But it's also that quality check every week to reduce our med errors. And if we do have a med error, we do need to document the med error, and we do need to put that into ROMP. And I think we're very lax in assisted living, and we do need to note that our med error is a little bit better. So that is part of our weekly check. And again, if I'm a nurse, I'm signing on as a nurse because I want to make sure every day I am checking to see on my EMR, do I have any meds to give? Do I have any labs to give? So here's a late, and this medication here is only to be given by the nurse. It's just an example, it's not true. Any aide can give Wellbutrin, but this is just an example of why it would show up on my work list, because it's under the nurse only and I'm responsible to give this medication. Or maybe it's a B12 injection, or maybe it's a lab draw today that I need to be aware of, so I'm watching for that. And then I need to go to my to-do list as the nurse, and I change my view to task group because I want to see all my med treatments. And I know that I sign them off every day if I have those med treatments. So it's not about how many times a day they get their meds. It's about the complexity and the quality check for the unlicensed staff giving meds. Even if you have licensed nurses giving meds, you as the RN are still responsible to go in and make sure that they're giving their meds correctly, at least weekly. Does that answer your question about the shared to-do list? Okay, good. Anything else on that area you guys want to see? These are really good questions.
So I have kind of a discrepancy or question on what's the right way it should be done as I'm learning and getting into this, and I have the DON who puts in all the orders and all that, and then I'm not really the one doing it, so I don't understand it greatly yet. But when we have someone that, like, say the only thing they get is a bath a week, they have that in as a PRN charge, because
Nope. That's a reoccurring a la carte charge, but it's in the evaluation. It would not be on your med. It would not be under orders. It will be in the evaluation. right? Because you're only gonna give the bath once a week. But when you print that off, and let me show you, everybody has this under their service plan. I gotta move you. When you print off your service plan at the back, it doesn't matter what the points say. If it's under 15 points, we're gonna look at that, right? So if it says 4 points here, because that's all they get is a bath level 1, down here, you're not gonna pick a service package level because all they get is a weekly service. You would then write in bath weekly at a cost of, if it's 30 minutes, I take 2 RA fees, $28, and I put it in here. This page is what we bill off of. We do not just take it here because the Matrix is not a sensitive, all-knowing machine. We still have to manually look at it as a, because I'm not going to charge someone $30 a week for a bath and put them in a level 1 at $450. I'm going to only charge them $120. You put that in your charge entry as a reoccurring weekly charge under the bath, under the 2.
And you're saying all that should be in the EMR is meds?
Correct. Meds, treatments, ancillary orders, but bathing, ADL should not be in the orders.
Okay.
It needs to be in the evaluation. And what happens is people start these paper, and I do audits all the time, but they keep these little cheat sheets. I have my laundry cheat sheet, I have my aid cheat sheet, I
Yeah,
have it in orders, and then I have the eval. And if I pull all 4, there is nothing that matches. Well, if I can find it, a surveyor can find it.
yes.
And then you're gonna notice that we're not billing correctly because it really didn't get put through the right process. And so now we're losing revenue. We need to stay on our processes for a reason to make sure our billing stays appropriate. So
Yeah.
that is why, yeah.
I was seeing that report that you did, and I was like, well, we could just run this so people could see when baths are, instead of they have this handmade spreadsheet. They're doing work that they don't need to do.
Correct. It's taken a lot of time to keep up all these areas, and we just need to focus on Care Assist. And really, it does work if we use it. And I know it's a complicated system, but it really does make sense when you start using it more and more. And hopefully, that scheduler piece will get those reports. So if we do need it for a reason, we can print it off then and we can have it. Maybe I need to like look at moving people around. That report will really come in handy. But this is where the nurses have to actually print the service plan. They pick the level. So, you know, they print it. They have to manually fill this out and then the family signs it. We would never have someone sign it without us filling this out first. The other thing I do want to take notice, and this came up at one of our facilities, and unfortunately, I don't even know how they did it. But one of our old nurses somehow saw this thing called approvals and sign in these columns, and these are not live for us to use, but somehow they added a signature, they copied and pasted it, and they thought this was a signature, and they thought they were uploading all these service plans. So they tried to work around our system, and unfortunately, all 100 residents now have no signed service plan for the new regulations, and so they have to start over. So there's a reason why we have processes, and you know, don't go in here and use this sign category. This is not, you know, like I train people, this is not a section that we're using. So go ahead and just take it off by showing adding columns. And then you won't even see it. I don't even know how, it usually doesn't even work, so I don't even know how they got it to even capture a signature, but somehow they did. That is in a future upcoming section where you'll have a tablet and they can actually sign right on here. So it's coming up, it's just not ready for use. And so I kind of lost my train of thought, but let's just stick to our processes and keep the CARES in here, print it off, sign it, and then it gets uploaded into the Elite under facility, and then under the resident, and then the resident documents. And that's where everything should be uploaded to. And remember, the new service plan has to go with the new lease. So it's an addendum now, where before we
Linda?
keep, yes.
I'm in the show height section here in the evaluation, and I have almost everything already checked. Like what's NRA and like, do I need any of that? PMP?
No. NRA is a negotiated risk assessment. We don't do that. BMP is nothing for you to use. MNS is nothing for you to use. I turn off my resident ID because I just like my columns short. And then the approval system we don't use, and the sign we don't use. You can customize these because you might want a community name on there, because maybe I have 5 communities listed. So now I have my community here. It's however you want to use it, but these two we're not using, the NRA we're not using, the BMP and minutes we're not using.
What's the category?
Category is ILAL, memory care.
Oh, okay.
Template you can leave on there. Now that one's the new one that came out last month. It just tells you what evaluation. So if I have multiple states, I can see this is a Missouri one, this is a Minnesota one. So you can customize these under the eval, under forms, under every section you can customize. So again, you know, you see the sign here under service plans, just take that off so it's not something that you'll try to use. And unfortunately, I'll be working with these communities to try and help them get back on track. So Shakopee, you might need to check yours because I know she was working there. I'll do an audit for you guys. And then one more thing in senior living, which I kind of, oh, I got another question. Oh, okay. Under your, I get asked this a lot, but how do we find things? So you can toggle for anything in senior living. And it's really just getting used to this filter. So if I am going to go under, let's say I want to know everyone who fell. So I know everybody does a new fall report when we have a fall, because that's like our incident report, right? And I just want to see in the last week who all fell. So I'm going to look for all my new fall reports. I would love to get these old ones out, but there's so many in progress out there. It would be nice if you guys closed them out and then I could pull that out. But that being said, I'm gonna also go up and I'm gonna change my status because I might have some in progress. I might have some deleted, I might have some active, and you have to remember, I don't have to just look at active, but I also want to look at in progress. So sometimes I just push all. And then I can toggle these up and down and make them together. So all my in process, you'll see here. These are all the fall reports that haven't been finalized. And these are all the ones that got deleted. And if I look at the back, these are all the ones that are active. I can now easily export that to an Excel or a PDF. Doesn't matter which one you do. If I make it a PDF, I can see these are all my in progress. I can see who did them. I can see who deleted. I can see which ones are closed, all my dates. So they're nice little reports. If I do it in an Excel, I can manage it a little bit better. So I can make my spreadsheet, but then I can like take out some areas that maybe I don't need, and I might change this one to follow up in ROMP. And then I could make my own report and kind of do a cross check. And then I could take this report and print it, and then like I wouldn't need all my deleted, so I could just go ahead and take all these out, you know, and delete this out. And then you can make your own report, and then you could cross-reference it over to ROMP and make sure you have a ROMP for every fall report. So they're nice little exports throughout senior living. Whoops, I meant to save that one. And so you can really, this exporting is very important if you want to make reports. And there's an export, as you know, in the front of the evaluation page, so you can export all this information. A lot of reports have exports. And so it's just kind of playing around in the system. If you can't find something, shoot me an email, I'll help you find it. Sometimes it takes two heads to figure it out using the filter, switching systems. So it's easy when you work with somebody also to find stuff. So I hope I covered the falls enough. Minnesota, still question 133 and 132 is not working, and there is a question in North Dakota not working. As soon as we get through the whole evals and everyone is done and has them updated, I will put out a new eval and fix those things, but I cannot until everyone has them closed. So Missouri, I have a new template ready to come out this week. I need you to make sure by Friday at noon, you close everything out, put everything final for progress and service plans and any forms, so I can get your new template out with the new regulations. Illinois, we're currently working on those. And then North Dakota and Minnesota, as soon as we get through one final push through of the 3.2 for Minnesota, I can't correct it until we're done, so I can put a new eval out. So hopefully we'll get that done. Again, just talking about reducing paper, staying on Care Assist, stop using all the lists, and really putting that energy into Care Assist. Anytime you guys want to look at something or figure out a system for your team, I am willing to do a Zoom and set up something with you guys. Just another thing about Minnesota and the individual abuse prevention plans, I just have some information here, what needs to be in it. And the biggie is the abuse includes self-abuse, which is refusal of meds, refusal of cares. Make sure you identify those in your individual abuse plans. They're looking for that. And just making sure you're updating that individual abuse plan with any behaviors. That's a biggie coming up in surveys that I'm noticing. Karen asks, where I was shown is on the signature up by the print tab and export. That is incorrect, Karen. Do not use that signature. It is wrong. You were misguided. So I apologize for that, Karen. You are the facility I was talking about. And of course, our next meeting is November 16th. So this will be available. Anything else that I can go over with you guys? I know we only have 4 minutes left. It goes so fast. If not, I will stop sharing. I will get this recording out. And I will see you guys soon. Hopefully I'll be back to visit everybody, starting to reschedule visits. So hopefully I'll be at your community soon. Thanks, everybody.